The FBI said Monday it was investigating claims by Donald Trump's presidential campaign that it was hacked by Iran. The former president said on Saturday that Microsoft had informed his campaign that Iran had hacked one of its websites. Trump said Iran was, quote, only able to get publicly available information. His campaign has pointed to a report on Friday by Microsoft researchers indicating that Iranian government-linked hackers tried breaking into the account of a, quote, high-ranking official on a U.S. presidential campaign in June. The report added that the hackers took over an account belonging to a former political advisor and then used it to target the official. It did not give further details as to the targets' identities. The Washington Post also reported on Monday that the FBI was investigating an alleged attack targeting advisors to the campaign of President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. The newspaper, citing sources, said the FBI began the investigation in June and suspected that Iran was behind the attempts to steal data. The Harris campaign did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Harris became the Democratic presidential nominee after Biden withdrew his bid last month. The Iranian government has denied that it hacked the Trump campaign.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's 2-hour interview with billionaire Elon Musk on X got off to a delayed start after more than half an hour of technical problems on Monday. Musk blamed the delays on a DDoS or distributed denial of service attack, where servers flooded with traffic to shut it down, though his claims could not be verified. The friendly talk with Trump offered the candidate an unfiltered venue to air his usual mix of grievances, personal attacks, and overstated or false claims. That included attacking Democrat candidate Kamala Harris, whose 11th-hour entry into the race as President Joe Biden stepped aside has galvanized her party and boosted Democratic fundraising.
Say what you want. This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
Musk, who backed Democratic President Joe Biden in 2020, has supported Trump since his attempted assassination. Trump praised Musk's willingness to fire workers demanding better conditions, and Musk praised Trump for bravery after the attempt on his life last month.
So I think it's a massive. I think we're in massive trouble, frankly, with the Kamala administration, and that's my honest opinion. I think really it's essential that you win for the good of the country for this election. And I'm just stating my opinion.
A counter on X showed as many as 1.3 million people listened to the interview at some points. Musk let Trump lead the conversation and did not challenge Trump's statements, including the false claim that bacon prices had risen 4 or 5 times, or that other countries were sending criminals from their prisons across the southern U.S. border. Studies show immigrants, including those in the U.S. illegally, do not commit crimes at a higher rate than native-born Americans. And while Trump is a long-standing critic of electric vehicles, on Monday he described the electric vehicles made by Tesla as incredible. Trump had been leading Biden in many polls of battleground states likely to be critical to the outcome of the November 5th election, but he is now trailing Harris in some of the same states. Musk has started an external super PAC spending group to support Trump's campaign. It is now under investigation in Michigan for possible violations of state laws on gathering voter information.
More than 47,000 people died in Europe as a result of scorching temperatures in 2023, according to a new report published on Monday. The Barcelona Institute for Global Health found the death toll would have been 80% higher if it weren't for measures introduced in the past 20 years to help people adapt to rising temperatures, like early warning systems and healthcare improvements. An estimated 60,000 people died from heat in the previous year. The 2023 report sourced death and temperature records from 35 European countries. When adjusting data for the population, Greece, Bulgaria, Italy, and Spain had the highest heat-related mortality rates.
Israeli researchers say they may have identified a strain of cocoa that could increase the plant's growing region. The finding comes as bad weather and disease have hurt cocoa production and sent global prices soaring. Israel's Volcani Institute had sent 140 seedlings to a facility in southern Israel to study how the tropical plant could grow in dry conditions. Days later, the October 7th assault by Hamas militants left their facility shut down for months, without electricity or irrigation. Researcher Thali Ilani says they were surprised to find 18 seedlings alive when they returned in January.
The exciting thing about it is that cacao that is considered to be plants that growing in a rainforest, in places that it needs a lot of water. We see, okay, that there are some, not all of the ecotypes, but there is one ecotype that can survive with much less water, hardly no water at all.
The team had not planned on testing the selected cocoa strain specifically for drought resistance. Here's the Volcani Institute's senior principal scientist, Ellen Graber.
It's a very unusual result to find a strain that can withstand 3.5 months of a drought as new fresh seedlings and also a severe cold front. It means that we may be able to develop strains that can expand the growing regions for cocoa.
The Volcani Institute has developed resilient plant strains in the past, including drought-resistant wheat and a chill-resistant basil that yields all year round. Graber says she plans to clone the surviving cocoa plants and test them in the hopes of identifying the genes responsible for their resilience.
Just 8 miles from the Athens city centre, this is Vralicia, engulfed in smoke. Greece's worst wildfire this year spread into the capital's suburbs on Monday. Hundreds have been forced to evacuate as the fire torched trees, homes and cars overnight. Fanned by gale force winds, firefighters say flames had reached the deepest into the capital for more than 2 decades. Around 700 firefighters and volunteers, 190 fire engines and 33 water-bombing aircraft have been battling the blaze that broke out on Sunday afternoon, 20 miles north of Athens. France, Italy and the Czech Republic are expected to assist with aircraft and firefighters. Spain, Cyprus and Turkey have also offered to help, a Greek government official said. Some residents in the hilly and wooded outer areas of Athens, like Pandali, have stayed to try and protect their own properties.
It hurts. We have grown up in the forest. We feel great sadness and anger.
This man crashed his car as he tried to escape the flames.
I couldn't see. I hit a pine tree, and this is what happened.
Summers in Greece have long been marked by wildfires, but hotter, drier weather linked to climate change have made blazes more frequent and intense. Greece experienced its warmest winter on record and is on track for its hottest ever summer. Large areas of the country have seen little or no rain for months, and temperatures are forecast to reach over 100 degrees Fahrenheit later in the week.
Street's main indexes closed mixed on Monday as investors braced for more key economic data in the hope of gauging the Federal Reserve's next policy moves. The Dow dropped more than 0.33%, the S&P 500 was unchanged, and the Nasdaq added 0.2%. Investors are awaiting Wednesday's U.S. Consumer Price Index reading and retail earnings from Walmart and Home Depot to assess demand from shoppers. Those will be followed on Thursday by July retail sales figures, which are likely to show marginal growth.
The data coming in right now is really important to the Fed.
Will McGough, Director of Investments at Prime Capital Financial, believes the central bank could and should issue what he called an emergency rate cut before its next policy meeting in September.
So we're sitting here with the Fed at 5.25 to 5.5%. Maybe giving guidance that rate cuts are coming, but not actually doing anything about it. When we have inflation that's normalized back to a couple of years ago levels, we're starting to see unemployment measures tick up a little bit. So to me, the Fed needs to take action and get on board with what the data is showing, that rates need to be lower.
Money markets are still evenly betting on a 25 or 50 basis point cut in U.S. interest rates in September, according to CME's FedWatch tool. Stocks on the move Monday included Starbucks, up more than 2.5% on reports that activist investor Starboard Value, which holds a stake in the coffee giant, wants the company to take steps to improve its share price. KeyCorp jumped more than 9% after Canada's Scotiabank bought a minority stake in the U.S. regional lender in an all-stock deal worth $2.8 billion. And JetBlue plunged more than 20% after ratings agencies S&P and Moody's downgraded the airline after it unveiled plans to raise more than $3 billion in debt. Shares of JetBlue plummeted as much as 18% in Monday morning trading after ratings agencies S&P and Moody's downgraded the airline due to concerns over its financial health. The downgrades come after JetBlue unveiled plans to raise more than $3 billion in debt, most of which will be backed by its TrueBlue loyalty program. S&P downgraded the carrier from a B to B-, saying it expects a key debt ratio used to assess financial risk to remain in the low single digits through 2025, with negative net cash flow from business operations. Moody's said that restoring JetBlue's operating profit and cash flow to levels that would lead to stronger credit metrics will require several years. It expects the airline to burn $2.2 billion in cash in 2024 and $1.4 billion in 2025. Leveraging loyalty programs as collateral has become a popular strategy for airlines to boost liquidity. Delta and United both employed the tactic when travel was restricted during the pandemic. JetBlue has been trying to control costs, including deferring deliveries of 44 new jets from Airbus, reducing its planned capital expenditure by about $3 billion through 2029. Its planned merger with Spirit Airlines was abandoned in March after being blocked by a judge due to antitrust concerns.
Johnson & Johnson may have cleared a major hurdle for its $6.5 billion settlement over lawsuits related to its baby powder and other items with talc. According to a report from Bloomberg on Monday, over 75% of claimants support the proposed settlement, meeting J&J's requirement for its third attempt to use bankruptcy protection to settle the lawsuits. Company spokesperson Claire Boyle said they could not comment because the vote count isn't final. J&J has previously said it was confident that their settlement proposal will get enough support to move forward. In total, the company is being sued by around 61,000 people who claims its talc products caused cancer due to asbestos contamination. The company denies these allegations and says its products are safe. The company has been engaged in a bitter fight with lawyers who oppose its latest attempt to end the litigation. The first two tries failed in federal courts. J&J is again attempting a so-called Texas two-step strategy by offloading the talc liability onto a newly created subsidiary, which then files for Chapter 11. That would allow J&J itself to avoid filing for bankruptcy. The U.S. Congress has proposed legislation that will limit the ability of companies to shield themselves from lawsuits by putting a shell company into bankruptcy.
Social media platform X was hit with a complaint by an Austrian privacy advocacy group on Monday. The group, NYOB, accused the Elon Musk-owned company of training its AI with personal data from users without their consent. That's in violation of EU privacy law. NYOB announced that it had filed complaints with 9 EU authorities. That was to ramp up pressure on Ireland's Data Protection Authority, or DPC, which is where most top US tech firms, including X, operate in the EU. The DPC has already sought an order to suspend or restrict X from processing the data of users for the purposes of developing, training or refining its AI systems. And X agreed in an Irish court last week not to train its AI systems for now using personal data collected from EU users before they had the option to withdraw their consent. The hearing last week found that X had only given its users the opportunity to object several weeks after the start of data collection. But the advocacy group said on Monday the Irish regulator's complaint doesn't question the legality of the data processing itself. X did not immediately reply to a request for comment on Monday. The company's global government affairs account stated last week that the company would continue to work with the DPC about AI issues.
when two of the biggest stars on the planet share a candid beach photo. It's a tale of two very different fan reactions. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce recently made headlines after vacation photos of the two enjoying some downtime in the Bahamas surfaced, while Swift, fresh off her ongoing Eras tour, was praised for her natural look and simple bikini choice. Kelce faced a more critical response. Fans loved Swift's effortless style, with some even admiring her healthy appearance after her past struggles with an eating disorder. "She looks super healthy. Way to go, Taylor," one fan commented. However, the reaction to NFL star Travis Kelce was not as kind. Some fans were quick to point out that Kelce's physique didn't seem as lean as expected for a top-tier athlete. Criticisms ranged from, "His upper body is not as well conditioned as one would expect," to comments suggesting he should be in better shape given his profession. In Kelce's defense, it's important to understand that his goals are very different from Swift's. Kelce's focus is on building and maintaining muscle, not necessarily getting lean. Weighing in at 250 pounds and consuming 4,000 calories a day, Kelce's diet is designed for performance, not aesthetics. A spokesperson for Set even praised Kelce's balanced approach, noting, "You don't always have to cut all of your favorite foods out of your life to have your ideal body." As Kelce ages and recovers from a growing list of injuries, his focus remains on fueling his body properly, even if that means indulging in high-calorie meals like French toast or seafood Alfredo. The reality is, his performance on the field hasn't suffered, and that's what truly matters. On the other hand, Taylor Swift has been open about her past struggles with body image. In a candid interview, Swift revealed that seeing photos of herself often triggered unhealthy habits, a battle she's been fighting since her teenage years. Today, she's matured and developed a healthier perspective, avoiding the pitfalls of negative body image. So, whether it's Taylor keeping it simple or Travis keeping it strong, the real lesson here is that both are staying true to what works best for them.
Противник при помощи своих западных хозяев, он выполняет их волю, и руками украинцев Запад с нами воюет. Так вот, судя по всему, противник стремится к улучшению своих переговорных позиций в будущем. И здесь ответ со стороны граждан России уже есть. Это единодушная поддержка всех, кто попал в беду, поддержка армии и увеличение, что очень важно, увеличение количества желающих присоединиться к нашим мужчинам, к бойцам, которые героически с оружием в руках защищают Россию.
בימים האחרונים אנחנו מקדישים את הזמן שלנו גם לחיזוק ההגנה וגם ליצירת חלופות התקפיות בתגובה וגם כיוזמה אם יידרש בכל מקום ובכל אזור. כשהיעד המרכזי הוא הגנה על אזרחי מדינת ישראל, ימים של דריכות ושל כוננות. האיומים מטהרן וגם מביירות עלולים להתממש.
একটি অন্তর্বর্তীকালীন সরকার কোনো তত্ত্বাবধায়ক সরকার না যে কেবল নির্বাচন ব্যবস্থা আয়োজন করাটাই তার দায়িত্ব, বরং যে রাষ্ট্রীয় কাঠামোর সংস্কারের কথা আমরা বলছি এবং একটি নানান রাষ্ট্রের নানান সেক্টরে সেই ধরনের সংস্কার এবং পুনর্গঠন করে আমরা একটি বাংলাদেশের যে ভবিষ্যৎ সেই ভবিষ্যৎ রূপরেখাটি তৈরি করতে চাই। এখনও ফ্যাসিস্ট শক্তি কিন্তু সম্পূর্ণভাবে উৎপাদিত হয়নি, তাদের নানা ধরনের ষড়যন্ত্র ইতিমধ্যে তারা শুরু করেছে এবং অর্থনৈতিক চ্যালেঞ্জ রয়েছে এবং যেহেতু গত 15-16 বছর ধরেই পুরো রাষ্ট্রীয় কাঠামোটিকে আসলে ভেঙে ফেলা হয়েছে, লুটপাট করা হয়েছে এবং সেইটি আসলে নতুন রূপে আবার তৈরি করতে সেটা যথেষ্ট কষ্টসাধ্য কাজ। তবে আমরা মনে করি যেহেতু ছাত্ররা জনগণ আমাদের সাথে আছে এবং সেই আস্থার জায়গাটি আমাদেরকে তারা দিয়েছে, আমরা তাদেরকে সাথে নিয়ে এই কষ্টসাধ্য কাজটি করতে পারি।